This lesson is for anyone who missed 1129. So we started today with a question that Kate brought up last time about just the timing of Shema itself. And what we looked at was we asked the question. Normally, in a page of Talmud, we have a back and forth, right? So back, forth, and we would expect there to be a back and forth, but instead we have both one solution and then we have solution number two. Why would you have solution number two? And I was talking in class about why would you suppose you took a cookie from the cookie jar and your mom asked, like, why did you do that? First you gave one answer to that question, and then after that you gave another answer to that question. And Lior said, well, you do that in order to kind of beat home the fact that you're right. But then Xavier and Aaron said, no, you do that because you are in some way not quite sure, not quite certain about the answer that you already gave and don't think it's good enough. And so the question is, what might be the question? What might be a concern about what's not good enough in this first idea that makes them think that they need to do another one? Now remember, so the Mishnah said, the pink side says, the Mishnah would make much more sense. We started with morning first and talking about Shema in the morning, not talking about Shema at night. And then the pink side said, no, don't worry about that. We know that the Mishnah is correct. Start with the night first because it says in the Shema when you lay down first, and then it says when you get up. So naturally, you would say you would first talk about the laying down Shema before you talk about the getting up Shema. Um, but then right after that, we have another idea, another proof. So the question is why would you have another proof? What's weak about this proof? That's question number one. And the answer that we came up in class is, well, when you lay down and when you get up, you can take a nap, right? Like a nap actually would pose a problem because that's not talking about night. That's talking about during the day. People sleep during the night. And what if you trip, right? Do you then have to say the Shema? What's the connection between laying down and getting up and nighttime? Certainly, a lot of times it is the case, but it is certainly not always the case, and that's why we need our second answer. And our second answer is, you can learn that you always start with night first because in the story of creation, every day begins with night before day because it says there was evening, there was day, Yom Echad. So that's kind of the order of how we do things. Now, what I asked the class to do for question number two is, actually we can skip this right now. Question number two is this question here of what would be a good ping side argument about how this proves there was evening and there was morning day one. If we want to say no, if that's so, then I want to show a contradiction between how this isn't necessarily true. What might I do? That's question number two. And we had some very creative ideas in class, but the idea that actually the pink side is going to use is basically, you're making a general claim, a claim of, every time I have an idea to choose between day and night, I'm always going to choose night first because that's the order of how things go. So that means, what does that presents a great opening for the ping side. It says, if I can show a case where actually there's a choice between what do we talk about first, the night or the day, and I'm talking about the day, then I've totally ruined this idea of, like, we go by the ordering of the way of creation. And that's exactly what the Talmud is going to say here. The Talmud is going to say, wait a second, you told me about when you asked in Mishnah 1, we talk about when do we say the Shema in the evening. But and we learned from this that we go by evening before night. But look at Mishnah number 4 in Brachot. Also, it says in the morning we say 2 blessings before the Shema and 1 blessing after the Shema. In the evening Shema we say 2 blessings before the Shema and 2 blessings after the Shema. If Mishnah 4 actually supported this idea right here, how would that Mishnah needed to be written? That's question number 3. And the very fact that it's not written that way, but it's written in reverse, meaning the morning is being talked about before the evening, we know this is a great way to poke a hole, to contradict what the Pang side was saying. So at this point, it seems like the Ping side is winning. And the only thing we can do now is try hard to see how can we go ahead and have a Pang side that actually explains in some way why it is that we have this phenomena here of Mishnah number 4 that seems to contradict this general rule of, in all places where the choice is that out there of either starting with the night or starting with the day, you start with the night. And clearly in Mishnah number 4, that is not the case, because we started with morning and not night. So what is your answer for the Pang side? And we came up with a bunch of ideas in class, but specifically we looked at this idea. So the Mishnah is on the Pang side right here is saying this is what it should look like: A B A B A B A B A B. But actually, the Mishnah 4 is saying it doesn't work that way. It's working more like this: A B, and then you're sticking with B. And the Pang side says, you know why they're doing that? This Mishnah, it used to be something that was memorized, and it's something that was spoken, and it makes rhetorical sense that you would actually go ahead and once you're talking about, so if you're talking about night, then you're talking about the day, it makes sense not to switch back to day, night, day, night, day, night, but actually you would actually start talking about the night at the day at that point. So we go day, night, day, night, day, night, and it should probably go day, night, day, something like that. So it's either ABB, ABB. By the way, which one is more logical to you? That's question number 5. And why, as far as rhetorically, rhetorically. And I just want to show you right here, interesting enough, we have a case of where Rashi weighs in on this as well. So this happens during the story of Abraham's servant trying to find a wife for Yitzchak, and he goes to the well, and Abraham's servant sees Rebecca and says, "Pray tell me, whose daughter are you? Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night?" And we see what happens. She replies, "I am the daughter of Betuel, son of Milcah." She went on, "There's plenty of straw." And Rashi comments here that, oh, look at this. So there are 2 questions, and don't be confused, because she answers the first question first and the last question last, which actually, according to that, which is more logical for Rashi, A or this one, we'll call this A B A B A B, or A B B A A A B B B A A, that kind of thing, according to Rashi, right? So, and just to read the Aramaic here, it says the following: the Mishnah opens with talking about the evening. Then it turns v'hadar. It turns and it talks about the morning, shacharit. Then, since we're talking about shacharit, it starts explaining more words about shacharit, about the morning Shema, and only then does it return and talk about Aravit, the evening. So it goes evening, morning, morning, evening. And they're saying, oh, it's like a rhetorical way. It's like an easier way to memorize or something like that. We had a big discussion in class about how is it that they would have never said, and this is really interesting, if this had happened in the Torah, that there was like an anomaly like this would be a place that would actually teach us something really relevant, something we didn't know before, and for some reason they can get away with this idea of, oh yeah, it's just a rhetorical device, just the way it just makes for speaking, for a nicer, more elegant way of speaking, or something like that. And yeah, that's it's very, and we talked about, well, how come the Mishnah is not being held up to the same standards or same idea as the Torah, and we talked about kind of why that was, and maybe the very fact that the Mishnah is something that God transmitted to Moshe, potential breakdown in what was said Moses transmits to others, potential breakdown of what was said, eventually gets taken from the head and moved to the writing, eventual, like a potential breakdown as well. And that really took us to the end of our sugya. And but again, it may be that this answer right here works well, because in the end, our first actual question is really talking like, why do we talk about saying Shema in Aravit? Like, what's this all about? And so it's kind of asking about, why is the structure set up like this? And in the end, our answer is, well, the structure set up like this because it's more elegant in some kind of way. Like, you don't always have to read into everything. Sometimes it's just about the structure. Great. And then we moved from there up to Hanukkah, and we asked the question. We're going to start talking about Hanukkah, and the question is, what Masechet, which Mishnah do you think this is going to connect to? So we're going to find the story of Hanukkah in a certain Masechet. What is that Masechet? And that'll be question number 7. And our answer is that we found out it's Masechet Shabbat. Why might it be Shabbat? That's question number 8. The answer is, Shabbat candles. Okay, our candles as well. And surely enough, the second Mishnah in Masechet Shabbat, chapter 2, Mishnah 1 reads, Bameh madlikin uvameh ein madlikin. Here is a list of oils that you can use for lighting your Shabbat candles, and here is the list of oils that you may not use for lighting your Shabbat candles. And my last question of the day, question number 9, is why are they concerned about using particular high quality oil for a special high quality oil for Shabbat use, and why do they don't allow a certain quality oil when it's not Shabbat use? And give me maybe 2 answers, 9A, 9B to that. We came up with a bunch in class, and that is it. Send in your answers via email for full credit for today.